Hello class, welcome to homework number 4. So for homework number 4, we are gonna have 4 tasks to complete. So the first thing that I want you to do is get some grade, complete discussion board number 3, which should take you about 20 minutes. Discussion board 3 is about the rise of open source. It's a short video and all you have to do is provide your opinion and then reply to somebody else. I recommend that you do this and then later on in the week come back and reply to somebody else in the thread. After you complete discussion board number 3, at least the first post, then go ahead and complete week report number 3. I want you to complete the report before you do the lab because the report is gonna serve you as a practice. You will be able to practice here and there, look at the presentations again, do some stuff, and then we can go into the lab because lab 4 has a challenge question in the bottom that is only using commands, and I believe that having a practice and studying a little before attempting the lab is going to result in a better result for you. I need to fix this document. There is going to be 2 videos here summarizing the presentation, going through it again. If you're having issues understanding the file system, or you need a refresher, or you want a refresher on the commands, feel free to watch those videos first. If you feel like you're good to go and just reading the presentation is good enough for you, then skip watching the videos. But otherwise, I suggest you, I hardly suggest that you watch the videos because this lab is the foundation of working on the command line. A lot of the things in this lab, if you don't understand them very well, it will make using the command line very, very difficult for the remaining of the class. Again, I'm gonna put the links over here. It's just that I keep adding them when I was working with this document. Next. The next thing that you're gonna do with the weekly report is you're gonna do all the practices that you have in the presentation here. So you're gonna go to the presentation and you're gonna go to the section where we have the labs. Where we have the commands. That will be right about, oh my god, there you go. Navigating the file system in the clip. So we start, explaining the commands, and then each command has a little practice. The first practice is just typing pwd, and then we go with the cd command. You have an explanation of the command, and then we have a couple of examples, and then finally you have a practice. After you complete this practice, and by the way, there is a video over here where I do the practice so you can compare that to the results that you got. After you do that, you take a screenshot of your terminal and you save it in your computer, and you're gonna put that in your in your week report. After you do that, then we go with the ls command, and it's the same thing, explanation of the command, and then we have a little practice that you're gonna be over here. It's only 3 practices because there are only 3 commands over here to complete. After you complete that, and here's the solution. Here is a video of me completing it as well, so you can compare that to whatever you got. And after you do that, you continue with number 2. You're gonna create a table explaining all of these directories and what they have. You find this information in the presentation, as you saw earlier. You don't need to Google anything. Everything is in the presentation. The goal here is to read. This is how I want your table to look like. This is just proper markdown table formatting. After you complete this part over here and part of the numeration over here, you need to create a table of the commands that we use for navigating the file system. That will be cd, ls, and pwd. Your table has to look like this. You write the command, you write a brief description of what the command do, and again, this information can be found in the presentation, and you write the syntax here. This is the general formula for using the command. Notice that I am using here code formatting for my markdown. I require that. And then you put an example of using the command. Right? I build this little table with commands that you already used in the class in last lab, so that it's familiar to you what you're looking for and and how you will be graded. Now, after you complete that, you're gonna read the presentation and you're gonna find definitions for these terms over here. And at the end, just a simple bulleted list of the commands that you use for navigating the file system. As a bonus, it would be a good idea for you to include this, just a second. Again, as a bonus, it would be a good idea for you to include this over here, this cheat sheet of the ls command. You can download it by clicking over here. This is going to be very handy for you. And then also this cheat sheet over here. You can also save them in your cheat sheet folder inside GitHub, and that's about it. But you know, having it in your week report is also nice. Now I'm gonna give you an example of how your week report should look like in this video. If you need it, if you don't need it, if this explanation is good enough for you, then you're done with the video. Now I'm gonna open VS Code. And I'm gonna click on File, Open Folder, and I'm gonna open my CIS 106 repository right over here. Click once, and then we click on Open. Now that we have a repository open, then we can start working on our week report. Now, before you do this, if your repository looks like a mess, if you haven't organized your files, please take a moment to organize your files. You can do it from the command, you can do it from the terminal right over here. Sorry, from the file manager. Open your repository, create the necessary folders, just how you see over here. So I have a folder, directory, for my week reports. I have one for my labs, one for the final project, and one for the cheat sheets, right? So if you click over here in week report, I have any because I have done none, but the point is to have a folder over there. Now, what I do is that for every week report, I create another folder. So we can use right click, new folder, and call this week report, and since this is week 4, I'm just gonna call it week report 4, and I'm gonna click on create. Now, here in the cheat sheets, since I provided you 2 new cheat sheets, I suggest you download them and you put them over here. So we're gonna go back here, my apologies, and we're gonna click on the link here. There you go, we downloaded the file. Now we're gonna click on next, and we will click over here. We have downloaded the 2 files. So all we have to do, let me close this software updater. Remember, we are very stingy with the applications that we open. And then over here, I'm gonna open my downloads folder in a new window. And I'm just gonna select these 2 guys and drag them inside my cheat sheets folder. I can close this, and there you go. Now we completed that part over there. So let's work on our week report. So I'm gonna minimize this, and inside week reports, week report number 4, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call this new file week report 4.md for markdown. So, and we start with our font matter right away. So this is name, this is your name here, then semester, and then the semester is fall 22, and then course, why not? And this is CIS 106 Linux Fundamentals. Right, and if you want to provide any other metadata for your document, you can add it over there as well, but I think that's good enough. Then we're going to provide a title for this. So the title of this is Week Report 4, right? Then I'm going to put this on the side by dragging and moving it to the side. And I'm going to put my Firefox tab on the other side. And we're going to go to our website, cis106.com, and locate homework number 4, right? Just going to minimize the file manager over there. And the first thing in the week report is the practice. So I'm going to put title number 2, and I'm going to call this, or heading 2, and I'm going to call this practice. Practice. Right, and here we're going to put all the practice for each and every one of the commands as you complete them. For example, I'm going to complete the first one. I'm going to open a terminal, and I'm going to type pwd. That's the first practice. I'm going to take a screenshot of this, applications, graphics, flame shot. Then from here, take a screenshot, and we're going to take a little screenshot of our terminal here. That's good enough. And we're going to save this file inside our repository, week reports, week report 4, and let's name this something that makes sense. I'm going to call this pwd-practice .png. I click on save, and then I can put my image right over here. Right, so the image is called pwd, and then the image name is pwd Again, I can open that little menu by pressing Control and the space bar and enter. We're gonna save this, and we have completed the first one over here. Practice, there you go. You're gonna do the same thing for the ls command after you complete the ls practice, right? And let's see. Okay, sorry, that's the cd command, so we're gonna do the cd one. So I have the instructions over here open. I have my terminal over here open. First, I'm gonna clear my screen so that I'm working with a clean canvas. And we're open a terminal. We have the terminal open. What's your present working directory, your current working directory? We can get that answer by typing pwd, which stands for present working directory. Then we're gonna cd into the downloads folder. So we're gonna do cd home, our username, or I can just type the variable user, but I'm gonna type my username, which is RA Alberto. Notice that the only thing that I did was type the first letter of my username and then the tab key. Tab, you know, the tab key for tab auto completion. In that way I avoid typos. It's very, very useful to use the tab key to avoid typos, since a command improperly written, you know, will not work. Now, again, DOW, tab, autocomplete the word downloads. Now, we're gonna type enter and notice that my present working directory now is downloads. So, where are you now? Okay, we can answer that question with pwd. We know we are in the downloads folder. What method did you use to change the current working directory? This was absolute path, because this here is an absolute path. It will always go to the downloads folder because it starts from the root of the file system. Now go back one directory. To do that, we type cd, 2 periods and a /, and this will bring us back one directory. So we were here before, now we are here, and we can know that by typing pwd. Now go back 2 directories. So we do cd, 1 directory, 2 directories. Press enter, and the question is, where am I? Okay, again, we answer that with pwd. Now go to your home directory. Remember that by default the cd command with nothing else, just cd, will take us home, right? Then go back to your previous current working directory. Now we can do that by typing cd and then a little hyphen or the minus sign on your keyboard. This will take you back to whatever was your previous working directory. This allows us to switch from one directory, from your previous working directory to your current working directory, and vice versa. This is very useful when you're working on 2 different directories that are in 2 totally different places of the file system, right? Think of the previous current working directory and current working directory as sort of placeholder that you can go back and forth. Now I press enter and notice that it tells me what my previous working directory was, and then it takes me there. Now that I completed this practice, I'm gonna take a screenshot of my, let me take a screenshot of my little terminal, and that's good enough because it includes all the commands that I use, and I'm gonna click on save. Again, I'm gonna name this appropriately, make sure that it's saved in the proper folder, and then we're gonna name this cd practice.md. Okay? Oh, sorry, that MD is a wrong, I must be hungry. I must be hungry. That is the wrong file extension. So let's go and fix that real quick. Here, let's see if it's saved, and it did save, so we are gonna rename, and this is a PNG file. My apologies for that. Oh, the file broke. So we are gonna have to take another screenshot. Let's move this to the trash and take a screenshot. Again, I apologize for that mistake. So let's go over here. Let's click on save and cd practice.png. So let's click on save. We can close our terminal and let's insert the picture over here. So cd and then cd practice.md. Now that we have our 2 pictures, remember to do the ls command and you have completed that part of the week report. After you do that, you are going to create a little table of all of these folders and what their usage is. Let's take a look at the example over here so that we can replicate this over here. So we are gonna put here the file system some important directories, right? Because we know that's not all the directories there are, but those are very good directories to know. I will leave an empty space and then I will start building my table. So we start with a pipe and we're gonna create this header over here. So that will be directory, another pipe, and then data stored in directory. Okay, another pipe. Oh, sorry. Press enter, and now we are going to put another pipe, and we are just gonna click on format document to make it look pretty. Now we are going to do our first column, which is only gonna consist of these guys over here. To make my life easy, I'm just gonna copy and paste right over here. Now all I have to do is put pipe, pipe, and so on. If you want to do it all in one shot, you can do multi-line editing in VS Code by pressing the Control key and the Shift key at the same time in your keyboard, and then the arrow key down. This allows me to insert the pipe and a space at the end in multiple lines at the same time. Again, that little trick is done by pressing the Control key, the Shift key, and then the arrow key down on your keyboard. Okay, if you want to exit multi-line editing, just press the Escape key on your keyboard. So we're gonna do the same thing over here. Now, one neat feature about multi-line editing is I can always find the longest line and then do Control Shift up and then down as well. Do one space and then press the character that I want to insert. Press the Escape key on the keyboard, and let's do a little lines over here. So again, space, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But why not doing multi-line editing again? So Control Shift up to cover the one on top, and then all the way down, 1, 2, 3. Okay, again, let's identify our longest line. Control Shift up, down, and now that we have selected all the lines, we're gonna do a space and we're gonna put another pipe. 1, 2, 3, and then the last pipe. We're gonna format this. Oops, this over here was a mistake. Let's get rid of it. Okie dokie. Now, I only use this as a placeholder, right? So let's see what we are gonna put in there. So we're gonna find the Vim directory in our presentation. So we're gonna go back over here, and we're gonna go to the Linux file system, and right there. So in this slide, we see that the Vim folder or the Vim directory includes essential commands. So all we have to do is type here, okay, this includes essential commands. Now the dev directory includes device files. Device files, right? We can then click format. And as you can see, everything is looking nice already. Once you have completed your table, you are done with this table over here. We're gonna move along to the next part. Create a table of the commands. Your table is supposed to look like this. So we do commands to navigate the file system, right? Then again, we leave a space and we build our row, right? The header row over here. So we have command, we have what it does, then we have syntax, then we have example, then our little lines over here, and then, oops, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, let's see, format document. Okay, so we have, this is extra, we don't need it. And the first command that we're gonna put there is pwd. What does it do? Well, it prints current working directory, right? And then what is the syntax? Simple. We type pwd. However, you must format this as code. So we put the backtick here and the backtick in the end, and it formats that as code. Then, finally, we provide an example of the pwd command. So how do we use the pwd command? Simple. We type pwd, and that's it. So you should do the same with cd and ls. Now let's format this. And you are done. Make sure you do the ls command and the cd command as I mentioned earlier. Again, notice that we leave an empty space over here, empty space, and then we continue with the week report. Then the last part of the week report is, from the presentation, you're gonna provide the definitions of this, and we're gonna label this key terms. Okay, and a nice way to do this is we are just going to definition of the following terms. I'm gonna copy this, put it over here. Okay, let's bold this, right? And then let's make this bulleted list. And here is the commands, so we're just gonna call this the commands used for navigating the file system, and you're gonna put the commands over here. That will be pwd, cd, and then ls, right? If you want to provide a little bit of an explanation there on what the command does, that's up to you. It's not really required because we already did it over here on the table. Okay, so over here, make sure you provide the definition of the term. Definition goes here. Definition goes here, and then the same thing for this. Okay, the difference between your home directory and the home directory. So here you type your explanation over there on what you believe is the difference between the home directory and your home directory. They are not the same thing. Then what is a path name, relative path, absolute path? You know the drill. If you want to make this a little prettier, we can always bold this over here, and then the definition doesn't go bold. We're gonna save this file, and once you have completed your week report, right? Once it's complete, once it's all done, we're gonna do a little preview to make sure it looks nice, right? It looks nice, it's what we want, everything is complete. Then now, oops, PNG, there you go. That's why it's good to preview, right? So there you go. Again, here, I'm only looking for 3 screenshots, right? pwd, cd, and then the ls command. And then after that, we are going to commit this to GitHub because you're done with the week report. If you're gonna continue working on your lab 4, then you don't need to do a commit now. You can do it when you're done with lab 4. But let's say that you're done for the day. So we're gonna do git pull. This makes sure that what we have in GitHub is what we have in our computer. This is very good, you know, if you're working with multiple computers like I do. As you can see, I made changes from another computer, so that's important. Then we're gonna do a git add. Then we're gonna do a git commit. And we're gonna label this commit the assignment that we completed. Homework 4 complete. And finally, we're gonna push this to GitHub. So we're gonna do git push, and we are done. Now you can continue with lab number 4. I see you in that video.